You talked about going to the top
Yeah.
when a project might be stagnating somewhere.
Yeah.
How do you avoid alienating your previous contact, who might not be the person who says yes, but might have the power of veto?
That's a difficult one. That's a difficult call. That's a really difficult call. If you've got a key contact, it's very difficult to. There are ways round it. I mean, you get somebody else to call. That's one way of doing it. But yeah, there's not really a way around. There are ways, but I guess you have to weigh up what the fallout of doing that is, and possibly what you could do. And again, it's about your world, my world. Is say to the person, is be upfront to them and say to them, look, we seem to be stagnating, and I appreciate you're at this level. Would it be okay to actually do this? And we can maybe work together to maybe I could help you sort of to move this along. That would be my... Yeah, sure.
Sorry, I just want to add something to it, actually. Basically, sometimes when I come across this situation...
And you do this.
What I do is offer maybe to help them to present to that person higher up and say, I can help you to try and get them on board by giving you a presentation. That's something that I would do.
Thank you.
My name's Sunil, by the way. I run a small software company, so I'm calling lots of small businesses at the moment, which is quite challenging. But it's just a couple of observations. One is that when I was selling enterprise software, so it was fewer calls but more value.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It was easier to go and do the research and research your customer and if you knew what you were selling, you're confident in it, then you're almost like setting up a conversation rather than selling. You're trying to provide them with information that could help them. So it changed the whole dynamics. But with with high volume, low margin, it really is a case of obviously do some research into the sector that you might be approaching at that time. But it really is a case of just going through the numbers and just being prepared to take the rejection.
Well, yes. I mean, absolutely. There is this question of that there are some processes in this where rejection is part of the, and you have a metric presumably, and you know that you have to make so many calls to get so many meetings to get. Is that right?
Yeah, but I think also you can turn it into a positive by taking some feedback about why. I mean, often it's not a question. I mean, some people are rude, but often it's a case of inertia. Yeah. So there's people haven't got time to listen to what you've got to say because they're busy running their business.
They're very pressurised.
Or they haven't had a problem, so there's no reason to change. So inertia seems to be the biggest thing. So it's a question of then trying to understand how to overcome that particular problem, or even just leave it to later on.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you record your calls and?
I have done, but the question I was going to ask is, do you have to tell the person you're calling that you're recording it?
There is before I say the wrong thing, I always say check with Ofcom because when you're going to do it and if you're going to do it, who knows? I'll say something now on the regulations, but my last understanding is that you have to inform them in some way. Right. So you can do that through your literature. You put something on your website. Right. What I do is I put it on the bottom of the signature for the email, so that there's awareness that the call could be, and I say something along the calls could be monitored or recorded for training purposes, something like that.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much. I was very struck by the practical aspects of this evening, and when you talk about planning the course, or planning the call, through taking the 3 different positions.
Yes.
And I think I could work out how to take my position in the call.
Okay.
But what sort of techniques do you use to clear the mind and try and put yourself in the shoes of the person that's receiving the call, and then the third person, the kind of the wise owl? Because I figure unless I've got that bit right, I'm not going to get the full value from the technique?
That's a great question. What's your name?
Gary.
Gary, that's a great question. It's about, in NLP, any of you NLPers here, by the way? Yeah, okay. So it's about sort of breaking the state. So if you, you saw me do this, is kind of shake it up. I mean, you can kind of jump up on the spot so that you kind of break the, for want of a better word, the programs, the stuff that you're running in your head. And think of something really, mundane, like what you had for breakfast or your last 5 digits of your telephone number. So you're kind of getting rid of all the stuff that's running. Or you can just jump up and down on the spots and then sit in the chair of the prospective client. Does that help? And then does that answer your question? Yeah. Yeah, pleasure.
You talked about changing tone,
yeah.
And you said play with the texture of your voice.
Yeah.
Can you talk about how you do that?
Yeah, it's a bit like an actor. So I can speak really quickly like this, or I can. How can I? It's about. Because I do it at a below conscious level. So for me to think about consciously how I do it. Is if you play with your voice in terms of so you can raise the tone of your voice, you can raise the speed of it, you can also raise the volume of it. The other thing is the energy that you put into it, and you'll notice if someone has a bullying tone and you have quite a soft tone, their bullying tone will increase. So in order to deal, and I had a big problem with this initially, is I had a belief that I couldn't deal with people who were very dominant, who had a very kind of bullying tone. So what I learnt was that by deflecting it and saying, so if they were saying, why are you calling me? And I'd say, terribly sorry to disturb you. Understand this is not a good time. Please tell me when it's a good time. So I'd be pushing back this aggression with my voice. Is that answering your question?
It's not as if you're practicing in advance. You're sort of listening to their tone
yes.
and thinking about how your tone can match their tone.
Yes, that's right. Yes. And I tend to, because I'm a linguist by background, so I tend to kind of just tune into other people's kind of voice and tone and stuff like that, as if that makes sense. And what's interesting, if you record your calls, you can listen to how you can take the observer position and listen to how your natural delivery style reacts with others. And then see how you can change it.
We have time for one more question. Does anybody?
Finding out, the way to open the discussion is okay. I think for larger organisations where there's stuff on the web and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But if you're going for SMEs, the smaller side,
yeah.
How do you get something to initiate that discussion?
Well, again, I would say that the SMEs do have something on the web. So the first thing that springs to mind is SMEs tend to, well, not all, but some of them do charity work or they get involved in local stuff. An SME may have a leader who's a kind of guru in their particular field and would speak at a conference or something like that. So if you kind of search around, it's harder work because if you go to corporate, they have a separate press release or annual report or something that you can dig into. But if you do a bit of Googling, but sometimes you're right, there is nothing. There is absolutely nothing. So what I would do is encourage you to look at this whole kind of tonal stuff. Yeah. So that you can build rapport through their world, what their tone is telling you, rather than you appearing to be another cold caller, if that helps.
Just adding to that, you could always call them an actor. People love to talk about their business, don't they? Anyway, on that note, let's wrap up. There's more drinks downstairs, and again, reminding you, if you're interested in getting some ongoing coaching with David, just give him your business card, and he can email off those resources to you, and as well let you know when the telesale seminars are being set up. I'll also remind you that we have a LinkedIn group, and between that and the business school emails, those are our main methods of communication, letting you guys know about what's coming up. I'm planning a really exciting set of speakers for next year. If you have any questions, or if you guys have any speaker recommendations or topic recommendations, please come and let me know so that I can work on that for you. And thank you guys for coming.
Thank you very much. Thank you.